And our first show after we recorded was at the Brown County Arena, opening for Molly Hatchet.
Wow.
You know, we've been playing clubs like the Palms, which had a capacity, I don't know, a few hundred people, maybe 600-700 people. And then next thing, and we'd done some other openings, but then we were, you know, on this stage with opening for Molly Hatchet at Brown County Arena. And the first tour we did was with a Canadian band called Triumph.
Oh yeah, we're familiar with them. Sure. And
we did the Southeast with Triumph, and then we did a college tour with Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes, which was absolutely a blast. And that included playing at Marquette, which was one of our big fan base places was Marquette. So
right.
That was great. And we did later on. We did a tour with Cheap Trick, and we did shows with Foreigner and Eddie Money and Kansas and even Sha-Na Na, of all things.
Well, with those first shows you mentioned with Triumph and Molly Hatchet, I'm thinking, when I mentioned about a contrast, it seems like, you know, basically mixing the music you were doing with, you know, because Molly Hatchet is pretty heavy metal, you know, at this point. How did the audience react to what you were doing?
Generally, they liked us.
Okay.
We were a power pop band, but we could rock pretty hard, and we certainly, you know, like a lot of Midwest bands, we'd put in the work, so we were tight, and you know, we knew how to put on a show. And I think why we appealed was a lot of these shows were, I mean, they're all ages, like concerts are, and we had a lot of people that were under the age of 18, so they hadn't gone out and seen a lot of shows.
Right.
They couldn't go to bars and see the bands and stuff like that. So they were into it. They were at a concert and they were going to rock, and we were good enough that they could get into us, and you know, they were all wound up to see the headliner, of course, but they didn't mind seeing us, and most of the time, I'd say we went over very well. But you know, as I said, we worked hard. And, you know, we were playing 300 nights or 250, 280 nights a year. So, you know, and we were playing 4 sets a night. So to go to an opening set of 45 minutes, I mean, the only thing hard about that was getting hot fast enough, you know.
Yeah. Now, they also had the change of venues, too, because you've been playing smaller clubs, you know, clubs along the way. Then now you're playing arenas. What's the difference in that? You know, acoustics, yeah, that's a given. But what about any other sorts of differences between playing, a place like a club and an arena?
Well, it's kind of like the difference between a TV and movie. You know, it's just a bigger presentation, but you still have the crowd in front that you want to react with, and you want to get them enjoying the show. Generally, if you can reach the people up front, you're going to reach, you know, the rest of the crowd's going to go with it. But, you know, you do have to kind of sometimes also think about that, you know, like the lead singer would acknowledge, hey, everybody up there in the balcony, or how about you guys in the back, you know, that kind of stuff. And, but the other adjustment you have to make is you're used to playing small stages. And so it's really easy to hear each other. And sometimes you get on these arena stages, and you know, I'm 30 feet from the guitar players, and you know, I'm 12 feet from the drummer, and 15 feet from the lead singer, and so you have to adjust your focus a little bit so that you don't lose that tightness, because the music, you know, your gears spread out a little further. So we just would pinch the stage a little bit, and most of the time when we're opening, you know, openers get a lot less space than the headliners anyway, so it kind of worked out for us.
Now, going from smaller clubs to the arenas were one thing. Going from a smaller area where you tour to the entire country was another thing. And what would you say is different in regards to, outside of just all the different experiences of seeing the country? What is the difference between just touring in a smaller area and touring the entire nation?
Well, when you're touring in your area, you have done the work and built up the relationships, and so you know the club owners, you know the record store people in the area, you know the DJs maybe, and you've got a fan base, and you know the journalists, the reviewers and stuff. You get out to New York, and the first time you play in New York, obviously there's very few people that have heard of you, and you got to rely on your record company to have done the advance work and stuff like that. But we got back to a number of places and started to develop a following. So you just have to, it's sort of the same. It's the same kind of work, but you have to do more of it because you're not showing up as frequently to stay in people's minds.